I noticed in your show sheet, you mentioned Broderick Martin and Brian Branch having early impressive camps. Where did you see that, and what did you see?
It was over the weekend that there was talk, and there was video of Brian Branch just being quick as hell, being able to knock the ball out of people's hands before they're going to catch it, and some passes defended there, earning some praise. And Broderick Martin, people think, is really going to be a fixture for this team for years to come. That he has a chance to start, and has gotten some work with the ones, but I think it was Dave Burkett that said he still thinks that it's going to be Isaiah Buggs that gets the starting nod, but Broderick Martin is turning some heads.
So it's interesting. I champed the video crew, the Lions production staff that put together the Inside the Den. I know what we are seeing is very team. It comes from team sources. So we are not going to see anything that is, showing their disappointment when another player gets drafted or showing anything but happiness and joy over the players that they get. I said in the wake of the draft, and I'll continue to argue, that Broderick Martin is one of the most interesting prospects and going to be one of the more telling prospects in terms of reading Brad Holmes. He wasn't really on anyone's radar, okay? And I expect the guys running a Lions organization to know more than any of the mock drafters out there, more than anybody that ranks prospects, and more than any of us in the media and the fan base. And so when they go out and do something that was unpredictable, that people didn't see coming, I go, okay, this is not what we expected. What if it works out? If it works out, it tells us that, yeah, our guy who's calling the shots knows more than everybody else, as he should. That hasn't always been the case.
No.
Where you go, well, why did they draft Jordan Dizon? I don't know, because he stinks. No, why? Right? I mean, what are we talking about here? So,
shots fired at Jordan Dizon today. Who saw that coming?
Sorry to the Dizon family. I apologize. Jelani Tavai,
right,
guys that were completely off the radar, and you raise your eyebrow, and they, as it turned out, didn't bring much to the table.
Was it Broyles? Was that the receiver?
Ryan Broyles, yeah. Ryan Broyles coming off an injury. Why?
Nothing against him. It was why draft somebody that had gone through that.
So Broderick Martin, and watching Inside the Den, I have to admit, they sold me. And I'm falling for it, but they sold me on what this guy can be. Next year, Isaiah Buggs isn't under contract. So if Buggs is ahead, he is under contract. My bad. They got him listed defensive end, not defensive tackle. My bad. But Broderick Martin, if he hits, then it's a sign that our guy knows what he's doing, right?
It is. And, the one I'm looking forward to on the defensive line is Ali McNeil this year, because he seems totally focused. He wants to have a monster year, and he wants to be a monster in the middle. And he dropped some weight and is kind of redistributed. We didn't lose any of the strength. He was just trying to get a little bit leaner and a little bit meaner, and feels like he can be on the field the entire time. And he could be stoic against the run, and then also maybe get some push on the pass, which would be really nice to see. If he can take that next step and be more than just a two-down guy, then that would be large. I think what the Lions have done over the last couple of years is very, very smart, and that is they've created their own depth. They've done it through the draft. They've done it through some free agent signings that were smart, and you're starting to see that depth. They've really accumulated a lot on that defensive front between the ends and the tackles. They've got a big-time rotation there with high-end guys. Charles Harris has come back healthy in this training camp, and he's getting some pretty good reviews to start off. And you know what you've got with Hutchinson. He's awfully good. And Houston's got a big chip on his shoulder, and everybody's bought in to what this coaching staff is about. It's all the same. The talk of changing the culture, they were trying to do it 2.5 years ago. It's worked.
Yeah, I take issue with you saying that they've invested in the defensive front with high-end guys. We hope. I mean, isn't the only high-end investment Aiden Hutchinson?
Well, I think when they gave the contract to Okwara, that was something that they expected. I I think they've got a lot of guys here on this team that can be substituted in and out of the lineup, and you don't miss a beat.
Okay, I agree with that. I'm not sure I would describe, and maybe it doesn't really matter. I don't know that they have high-end guys. I think they potentially have high-end guys. There are like 6 guys in the defensive front. I think this guy can be a player. This guy can be an absolute problem. I think we're pretty confident Aiden Hutchinson's going to be that.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that James Houston follows up last season with another, because if he is what he was the second half of last year, he indeed is a high-end guy. Charles Harris, 2 years ago, showed flashes of being a high-end guy. Romeo Quara has shown flashes of being a high-end guy. John Kaminsky has, the record when he played was like 8-2 and made an impact. Josh Pascal, they invested a second-round pick in him. He could be a high-end guy. I don't feel like that's defined yet. I
don't think maybe it's okay. Fair enough. It's not defined, but I think that you see the potential that's there.
Okay.
And all I'm talking about is just I think that's a lot of depth.
I do
think
that's
a ton of depth when you're talking about really the defensive end position. A couple of those guys have the ability to play inside and outside, like a Pascal and Kaminsky. They can play anywhere. And even Hutchinson played inside a little bit last year. Any one of those guys, it seems like, can get the job done. And what I love about that is that it allows them to stay as fresh as they can be and as fresh as they need to be. Hey, this guy's gassed. He's gone after the quarterback 3 straight times, taking a lot out of him. It's all right. Bring him off. Send out Naquara. And they've got enough of those guys, and then they're starting to get this rotation of defensive tackles as well. Remains to be seen how good the defensive tackles are. I'm not going to go crazy on that yet.
Yeah.
I like McNeil. Bug seems to have he's got a place on this roster. We haven't heard much about Onwuzurike other than he's practicing, which is a positive. I don't know how good he's going to be or if he's going to make an impact or not, but if he's anywhere near what they projected him when they drafted, then that would be great. But it seems like it's a long way to go.
Now, as far as Brian Branch is concerned, and you mentioned that he was a guy that has gotten early, good reviews. C.J. Gardner-Johnson isn't under contract next year. And Tracy Walker, who knows if he's going to be able to stay healthy. I feel like the only player in the safety spot, and I don't know where Branch is going to settle in, whether it's safety, whether it's nickel corner, whether he's going to be an outside corner. He's got that versatility. Kirby Joseph, I suspect, will be here. Cam Sutton's under contract. Manuel Mosley, who knows? He's not under contract for next year. So Brian Branch was brought in, and I feel like he's been given the reality of the situation is, hey, we need you next year bad. But not just yet. Even if you don't make an impact this year, you've got a year-long runway because we need you to be a starter and a good one 1 year from now.
Well, what a difference a week makes. 1 week ago at this time, we were talking about him being thrust into a position before he's ready to take it over because of what looked like a season-ending injury,
right?
To Gardner-Johnson. Fortunately, about an hour later, we find out that was not the case.
It was not that bad.
And that's great news. But, I'm curious with Gardner-Johnson's another one, because I think he's a very high-quality player. Is he going to want to come back to this team next year and sign something more long-term? Because it's not like he's some 33-year-old safety.